Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the iHeartRadio network, the number one network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been rated the number one sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys from down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France, and of course you good old boys from Canada. Got a lot of people from Europe following Big C Sports, but Big C, there's still no one I love more than you good old boys down south in the land of the free and the home of the brave. Big C, how's it going for all of you good old boys?
Well, right now, Charles, a little scary down here. You talk about lightning and thunderstorms and the water deluge coming down. I mean, it is pouring. I wish we could send the water out there to California, to the left coast with all those fires that are burning, to offer some relief to those good people of the western states.
Oh, yeah.
It would be such a relief for them to get what we're having here. I mean, we've had rain every day for the past week.
Wow, that's
so
good.
We've got an overabundance of it, and they've got the lacking of it out there. I've seen the fires on the national news, and those devastated people out there. Our hearts go out to them. The program of Charlton and Big C Sports.
Yes.
You know, we wish all well and health to those firefighters and those public servants that are out there putting their lives on the line, Charlton, every day trying to save the property and lives of others that they don't even know, but they take a service oath to care about.
Yeah.
And we're sending out our thoughts and prayers from our program to those firefighters and those victims of the fires there on the West Coast.
Well, Big C, that's a very good point. I do want to say today is a beautiful July the 10th, 2017, and this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home on the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. And also, Kamala Harris was telling everyone, if you can, just evacuate. I know a lot of people, Big C, when it comes to fires, they always think they can see the fire coming close to the house, but they're going to wait a little bit longer to see if it can stop before it gets to their home. But nothing's more important than saving lives, so please heed all the warnings of the firefighters out there. And again, our thoughts and hopes are with the firefighters, keeping them safe, and hopefully we can provide some entertainment for you. And Big C, some of that entertainment, I know you good old boys down south, I don't know if you can hit a baseball as far as these two big boys from Aaron Judge and Carlos Stanton, Big C, but I'm sure you've tried in the past, Big C. Your thoughts on the home run derby tonight?
Well, Charles, I can put anything in the back of the Escalade and drive it that far, right? I think that's what they're doing. We in the Escalade can outdrive
I'm sure.
This is going to be a marvelous event tonight, the home run derby down in Miami, Charlton.
Yeah.
You know, they probably will have the roof closed so they will help the ball carry.
Yeah.
You know, you talk about the big bats and the excitement, you know, from this time of the year, you know. Everybody is talking about is the ball juice. You know, baseball is juice when the ball is going out of the park.
Yeah.
That's what the fans are juiced about, and that really should be the major concern of everybody in the media. Not sitting there talking about it, somebody getting it in minutes. Today's ball player, Charlton, is bigger, stronger, and faster. I mean, we look at the two leaders tonight, and especially Judge.
Yeah.
This guy is 6'7", Charlton, 282 pounds.
Yeah.
This is a defensive end in any other sport, okay, football. He would be playing defensive end on some professional team at that stature. So he's manhandling a baseball right now, and people are questioning whether the ball is just, I mean, this man of that stature can hit the ball out of any little league park in America. So don't worry about the major league park. But, you know, I've always thought, even back when I played back in archaic times, Charlton, that we were there for the entertainment and the joy of the fans.
Yeah.
You know, we were paid to brutalize each other, but the fans were the ones receiving euphoria out of it. They're cheering, you know, on their favorite teams. And so, for so many media writers nowadays, Charlton, that want to take that joy away from the fans, watching a hometown favorite making a baseball exit the ballpark by putting some question mark or asterisk next to it.
Yeah.
I think they should put a question mark or asterisk next to themselves in really understanding what they know about professional sports as a whole, Charlton.
Well, Big C, when you talk about Juan Carlos Stanton, he's the defending home run king when they played it last year down at San Diego. And obviously the guy is well built. He reminds me of what you looked like back in the day, Big C, but that's minus a few of those cakes that you like to party around with. But Stanton... Yeah, that's a disclaimer also, but we know he has 26 home runs here at the All-Star break, and then Judge, he has actually 30 home runs, leading Major League Baseball But Big C, just like back in the days of Barry Bonds and some of the great hitters, whether it's a Ken Griffey Jr., Barry Bonds, a McGuire, a Jose Canseco, even back in the days of Reggie Jackson, they're not seeing the best pitchers, Big C. Even though these guys can hit the ball, it seems a mile, they're not having the ball served up. These guys can hit the ball out of the ballpark, but they're not always getting the best pitches. When Barry Bonds played, he was walked more than anybody, even though he led the league in home run. Just talk a little bit about how these guys are hitting home runs, even though 1 out of every 4 pitches they get may be a good pitch as opposed to 2 out of 3, Big C. Your thoughts?
But Charlton, is called control and athleticism. When we think about the coordination of a professional athlete, it's beyond anybody in the spectrum of sitting in their living room or in the broadcast booth watching a game.
Yeah.
Even the former players who broadcast games now and give their analytics, Charlton, on a broadcast, on an event that's going on, regardless whether it's hockey, baseball, football, basketball, they're not the athlete of the modern era. Okay?
Yeah.
They don't have the strength. They don't have the bat speed, the eye-hand coordination to get off a shot, or even the vertical leap of the basketball players currently playing, Charles.
Yeah.
So there's always a little bit of animosity when you look at the guys analyzing the game today. Instead of singing total praise, it would be like me going back saying, okay, 40 years ago, we could have played with these guys.
Yeah.
No, we couldn't.
Yeah.
That's impossible. It's not going to occur because when you look at the baseball players tonight, we look at Stanley and we look at George. Okay?
Yeah.
We're looking at guys, Charlton, who bench press 400 pounds.
Yeah.
Baseball.
Yeah.
You're going to, Babe Ruth might have bench pressed 400 ounces of beer tonight.
Yeah. Yeah.
To say that Babe Ruth could have handled the bats like these guys
No.
do today, Charlton,
No.
it just doesn't happen. And, I go back and remember Ricky Henderson, who I always admired running the base paths when he broke Lou Brock's record.
Yeah.
I thought Lou Brock's record would never be broken stealing, bases in baseball.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Ricky Henderson made it an art form.
Yeah.
He challenged you to stop him every time. And so no one ever challenged Ricky Henderson when he broke Lou Brock's record. When he had to be on steroids to break Lou Brock's record.
No, that's a good point.
No one ever said that, Charlton.
No.
When we think about a pitcher today, Charlton, throwing a no-hitter, no one questions whether he's on steroids to throw a no-hitter.
Yep.
So why did you question whether a baseball is juice, which is the same baseball that pitcher who threw the no-hitter threw with? Okay?
Yeah.
There's no one hit it. So when someone finally hits it out of the ballpark, everybody wants to question whether the ball is juice.
Yeah.
So I would like for the media to be a little more consistent about their lack of knowledge in analyzing all these things, Joe.
Yeah, and Big C, the great thing you brought up, when Henderson, you notice when Henderson was stealing bases over in Oakland, I remember seeing several games when he was kind of like must-see TV. Whenever he got on base, that wasn't the fun part watching him up to bat, but when he got on first base, that's when the excitement began over in Oakland when Ricky Henderson was stealing bases. No one ever said that these guys who run so fast are on some type of substance, Big C. But the home run guys, they get named for that. We look at just in the American League, the batting average for Jose Altuve for Houston, he's batting .347. Ramirez for Cleveland's batting .332. Aaron Judge for the Yankees, again, he's favored the home run hitting contest tonight. He's batting .329. Carlos Correa for Houston bats .325, and Ben Gamel from Seattle bats .323, and that's just in the American League. But again, what people have to understand, it's just like if you're a great pitcher, if you're a catfish hunter or Dave Stewart, Big C, you're not going to throw the ball down the middle to these guys that can hit the ball. So that hand-eye coordination, you got to have that. Even when Hank Aaron conceded that Barry Bonds was a home run king, he said, hey, look, you still got to hit the ball. Who cares if he's on something or not? I don't think Barry was. And if Barry was, then everybody else was too. But you just made that point, like Hank Aaron said back in the day, you still got to have that hand-eye coordination. Talk about that, how they have that now, Big C, but maybe not as good as the guys like Joe Morgan did back in the day. They have a lot of guys that just didn't try to hit home runs back in the day. They wanted to get on base. Now everybody wants to hit the home run, Big C. Your thoughts?
Charlton, the game was more about putting the ball in play. When you look at baseball in the 60s and the 70s,
yeah,
it was about manufacturing runs. If a guy could hit 35 home runs, you could potentially win the home run derby.
Yeah.
I remember when Frank Robertson, the first player to hit 30-30 in both leagues, Charlton.
Yeah.
And so, players of that would look at it in high esteem, but that's the average now, hitting 30 home runs for a power.
Yeah.
But, when it comes about putting the ball in play, you can go up and hit home runs every 16 at bats, but
yeah,
how many times do you strike out also?
Yeah.
if you're just swinging for the fence.
Yeah.
It's about putting the ball in play. You know, we think about the great player Pete Rose being ostracized from the Hall of Fame.
What a shame.
Pete Rose went up to put the ball in play.
All the time.
I think baseball needs to, turn back the clock and look at what he did on the field
Yeah.
and not what he did as a manager. Because he should be in the Hall of Fame as a player and not as a manager, because his eye-hand coordination
The best.
and his hustle, Charlton, was nothing less than superior to anybody in the game of his era.
Yeah.
He played baseball the way baseball was supposed to be played, all-out hustle. That's the reason why it was Charlie Hustle.
Yeah.
If you look at the modern-day player, you don't see that kind of uncanniness with the player today who wants to hustle, like a Pete Rose did, who sold out, whether it was rounding the bases or whether it was going for a baseball, Charlton.
Yeah.
This is what the eye-hand coordination did. And he may have lacked for a little talent, but he made up for it in hustle.
And
when we look at the modern attributes that the modern players have now, Charles, as far as the workout regimen,
Yeah.
the tools and mechanics that they have to make themselves better as far as sharpening their motor skills. The old players didn't have that. They
No.
just worked on basic skills.
Yeah.
They didn't have the electronic devices to speed up their motor reactions. So when you go back and you look at these players, I think about a couple of weeks ago, the Chicago Cubs cut a catcher and sent him down to the minors
Yeah.
after giving up 7 consecutive stolen bases.
Yeah.
Okay? So were these guys on steroids still in the bases?
That's a good point.
Being able to throw them out, Chelsea.
That's a very good. No one ever blames a guy who has a great arm for being on the roid. They always blame the guy that can hit the home run. One of my favorite players back in the day was watching Joe Morgan and even listening to Joe Morgan call a game. And I know he doesn't do it as much now. I don't know what happened, and there's always politics in the world of baseball. But I always thought he should be the national guy for baseball because Joe Morgan, his knowledge, Big C, and just like you're saying, back in the day, these guys didn't care about who could hit how many home runs. They wanted to get on base, and they wanted to see if they could help their team win that way. And that reminds me of Joe Morgan, whether he was calling the game, Big C, or playing the game. And that's what I like, and actually what I miss about some of the great guys from back in the day, Big C. I just want to bring up a good point here for a couple of players that are playing the game tonight. Even in the National League for batting average, you have Daniel Murphy for Washington, bats .342. Ryan Zimmerman for Washington, bats .330. And Bryce Harper for Washington, bats .325. The top three guys in the National League, they're all on the Nationals. Buster Posey for the Giants, he bats .324. And then Charlie Blackmon for Colorado, bats .319. So a lot of these players, everybody talks about the home run guy must be on the juice. But what about the guy that just makes contact with the baseball that doesn't hit home runs like a Pete Rose did back in the day? He was never accused of being on anything other than his hustle, Big C. Your thoughts on that, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, even during Pete Rose and Joe Morgan's era, Jonathan, they happened to be teammates in Cincinnati at one point. They had a teammate at one time that led the major leagues in home runs, George Foster, center fielder,
Yeah.
who led the major leagues with 49 home runs. Nobody ever questioned was George Foster on the juice, which was an astronomical number of home runs
Oh, yeah.
to hit back in the 70s, Jonathan, when you think about it, 49 home runs. But no one ever questioned that. And you talked about these guys putting the ball in play. I think about the great Rod Carew.
The best. Yeah,
California
Angels.
Who started his career as a second baseman, ended up at first base with the Angels.
Yeah.
This guy, all he could do was put the ball in play, Jonathan. He hit the ball all over the ballpark. And nobody ever questioned. Tony Gwynn, the great late Tony Gwynn of the San Diego Padres, Jonathan.
Yep, career long.
Who got up every time you turn around, he got a hit.
Yeah.
Every 3 times at bat, Jonathan.
Yeah.
He got a hit. Guaranteed. So, you think about these great players. No one ever questioned, as you said, eye-hand coordination, making contact with the ball. But now all of a sudden, they want to question if the ball is jacked out of the park. Was the player juiced or was the ball juiced?
Yeah.
The number one thing is
Yeah.
you have to hit the ball.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hank Aaron in his late 70s, one of the all-time greats as a player, as a hitter, as a home run hitter.
Yeah.
You got to make contact, and I don't care what era of baseball that we're in. Even though we have the home run derby as a modern era,
Oh, yeah.
they're serving up pitches to the guys.
Yeah.
In live action, when that game is on the line, it's about making contact.
They're not serving them up in live action. You're right.
You think about Joe Madden last year when the Cubs won the Big C World Series.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Every time they played the Washington Nationals, he walked Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
He got into Bryce Harper's head. He said, I know you can hit the ball. I'm not worried about whether you on the juice or not.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you one thing, I will give you first base because I know you can't steal second.
Yeah.
And if you're standing on first base, that means you can't drive somebody in, you can't hit it out of the park.
Yeah.
So managers, just like players, understand the strategic value of baseball.
Yeah.
Mentally and physically. And Joe Madden proved that last year with Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
That Bryce Harper batted less than 200 against the Cubs because of how Joe Madden treated him psychologically.
Yeah.
But, you know, if no one questioned whether Bryce Harper was on the juice, it was just, he can hit the ball out of the ballpark, and he's still doing it now. And no one questions whether he's on the juice, Jonathan. He's not even 25 years old.
Yeah.
But he's strong as an ox.
And Big C, that's a very good point. Also, some players just paying attention to what you just said. Looking at in the AL with home runs, we look at Judd, and he's leading the whole baseball world with 30 home runs. We call it the baseball universe. And George Springer has 27 for Houston. Moustakas, he's in the home run derby tonight with Kansas City, 25 home runs. You have Morrison from Tampa Bay with 24, and Davis from Oakland has 24. Big C in the National League. You know, Vito from Cincinnati, 26. Stanton from Miami has 26. Bellinger from the LA Dodgers has 25. And Jay Bruce from the New York Mets has 23. And Thames from Milwaukee has 23. Also, when I look at some of those players we mentioned, Moustakas, 25 home runs. That's the most home runs hit by a Kansas City Royals player at the All-Star break in the history of that franchise, Big C. And also, when you look at Charlie Blackmon and from Colorado, Miguel Sano from the Twins, there's Gary Sanchez from the Yankees. There's a lot of great players that are hitting home run, but I want to bring up the Dodgers, and I love the Dodgers this year to win the whole thing, Big C. You have Cody Bellinger, 25 home runs. He's the first rookie in Major League Baseball to hit 10 home runs in 10 games, and he's balling right now for the Dodgers, Big C. Your thought on how many of these great players they're not being accused of juicing, but they are playing some solid baseball, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charles, just when you mentioned Bellinger and Judd, two rookies.
Yeah.
You're two of the top elite home run hitters in Major League Baseball. Bellinger's about third, fourth on the list.
Yep.
Judge is number one.
Yeah.
These are rookies. So no one's challenging a rookie as far as being steroid enhanced. He just showed up in the game.
Right.
So here's a guy who is fearless at the plate. He knows that he has to make a mark for himself. So bailing out and taking pitches not behoove his career. So they're up there taking the wax. They're standing in there. And the thing about it, pitchers don't understand where these young players are.
Yeah.
What pitches they can and cannot handle yet. So they're serving up trying to find the proper strike zone for these young players. And that's what allowing them to hit the home runs, John.
Yeah.
You know, when you've played against a veteran player of many seasons and faced him in many at bats, you know which pitches they struggle with.
Oh, yeah.
So you can kind of control the strike zone in that capacity.
Yeah.
But when you look at these young players, you know, it's like in any sport. When you haven't had a book on the players, we can go back to football. Everybody remember how great a year Carson Wentz had in the first 3 weeks of the NFL.
Who's Carson Wentz, Big C?
You know, the rookie quarterback for the Philadelphia.
Oh, that guy the guy that led the Eagles to the playoffs, that guy?
Well, the Super Bowl winning, rookie of the year quarterback.
Oh, okay. I thought I was talking to Mel Kiper. I'm sorry. Go ahead, C.
You know, the city of brotherly love. They love what they saw in the first game.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, the NFL defensive coaches had some tape on this young man.
Yeah.
And not diminishing his talents in any way.
Right.
But they knew where his weaknesses were.
Yeah.
They knew what limitations he had as far as being effective against certain defenses, Charles.
Yeah.
The minute you get tape on somebody, now you have that analytical, as all the modern podcasters want to talk about the analytics
Yeah.
of what you can defeat someone on. Okay? So this is what happens with these young rookie hit sluggers at Charleston. They don't have the analytics yet because you haven't faced them enough
Yeah.
to know what they cannot handle. And so this is the reason why they're leading the majors in homers. But it's good for baseball, Charlton, to have a resurgence breath of fresh air
Yeah.
to get the young guys in, because we've seen the status quo forever. And that's what's been accepted. But when we get this infusion of talent, regardless of one of the four major sports
Yeah.
in America,
Yeah.
hockey, basketball, football, baseball, we revel in that as fans and broadcasters because that's what the fans appreciate. Something new.
That's a good point, Big C. A very good point. I do want to bring up that sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. For every sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We go through Ben and Mark. They work with Big C Sports. They've been around half a century, Big C, and they're in all 50 states. When you follow up with them, let them know that Charlton and Big C sent you. And also, Big C, I just want to finish off a few things in the world of baseball before we touch on a few more mega things happening in the world of sports. When we look at the RBI, the runs batted in, Nelson Cruz for Seattle has 70. Judge for the Yankees, even though he's hitting home runs like crazy, he has 66 RBIs. That's second in the AL, followed by Carrera for Houston at 65, and Santa with Minnesota has 62, and George Springer for Houston also has 61. In the National League, you look at Arenado for Colorado, 70, and I guess Ozuna for Miami has 70. Vettel for Cincinnati has 68. Goldsmith for Arizona has 67, as well as Lamb for Arizona, 67 RBI. So a lot of good things happening in the world of guys who know how to swing the baseball, Big C. But I just want to finish up by talking about the pitchers tonight, because I'm not that impressed with the pitchers. Just for the think of it, you have Max Scherzer for Washington. He has 10 wins on the season. Nothing wrong with that, Big C, but his ERA is 2.10. That's not the best in the world. And even worse than that, Boston Chris Sale has 11 wins on the season. Big C, his ERA is 2.75. It's not like they're down in the ones, but they're still all-stars for their respective divisions, Big C. Your thought on the low ERA for these all-star pitchers, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Johnson, you don't expect to see these starting pitchers go more than two and a half innings in an all-star game, because they're just going out there basically for personal appearance.
Yeah.
Because they want to save those arms for the regular season. But the critical thing about an all-star game now, Johnson, is that they're meaningful.
Yeah.
Is that the winning team of the all-star team, Johnson, that division gets the home field advantage in the World Series. So it's critical. I wish that all professional sports would address this just like Major League Baseball does.
Yeah.
Think about the NBA All-Star game, Johnson. If the winning team in the series would get the home court advantage in the East or the Western Division, not the winning record during the season, but who wins the All-Star game,
Yeah.
would be much more competitive for the fans. So this is something that was put back in for the fans, Johnson, that they would, enjoy this. So when we look at ERA, you can go out there and throw hard for 2 innings.
Yeah.
Because you're not worried about looking at 5-6 innings down the road, Johnson. You're
Yeah.
trying to get into the 6th or 7th inning. So you can let it all hang out for 2 innings in an all-star game, because you're going to have 9 pitchers that are going to pitch for each club.
Yeah.
Tomorrow night, Johnson. So that's the thing about the ERA, throw it out.
Yeah.
The thing you worry about is the big bats being able to swing.
That's a good point, Big C. And now, speaking of big bats, I want to tell you that Steph Curry is the most underpaid unanimous all-star in the history of the NBA, Big C, because he got surpassed in less than 1 week by a guy who's never won anything, and James Harden. And I'm happy for James Harden. I'm happy for all the guys to get the money, especially the African Americans. They'll never be owners, maybe like 2 or 3% will, but to get $228 million extension, I'm happy for him. As an athlete, Big C, I'm happy for him as a business person, but I don't understand how they justify that in Houston. Based on what? I don't know, Big C, but congratulations, Mr. Harden, not playing any defense last year. What a precedent to set for guys who are trying to get a big paycheck. Don't play defense and they'll make you the biggest contract in history, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Johnson, hasn't that become the moxie of all professional sports? We just witnessed last week, Davey, from Orleans with the NHL.
Yeah.
Making $100 million contract extension. Young man's not even 21 years old. He gets $100 million.
He can't even drink. He can't even drink, Big C.
Oh, well, in Canada he can. Drinking age is 19 up there.
Oh, okay.
He's allowed to drink like a couple of them.
Yeah.
But, when we look at this precedent in professional sports of those who have not succeeded on the ultimate stage being the highest paid, what does that say to the guys who receive the ultimate glory of winning a title and also the MVP?
Yeah.
We saw that in football with your buddy Andrew Luck a couple of years ago. Well, they paid him $144 million, and he hasn't played 44 games in his NFL career.
Yeah.
He's always hurt.
Yeah.
And crying about the football don't have enough air.
Yeah.
So, now we see this, with James Harden receiving this contract.
Yeah.
And they're also talking about Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
Getting $400 million in baseball against the Nationals that never made the World Series.
No.
Not even when they were the Montreal Expos, Charles. So, as we look at the monies that are paid out to the non-championship players, what does it say? Only thing that's left in professional sports is go win a championship.
Yeah.
Because it really has no value on a championship or even a championship caliber team. When you look at the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors, neither one of those teams have the highest paid players in the NFL, in the NBA, rather.
Right.
Both of those teams have multiple MVPs. LeBron has won multiple times. KD has won. Steph has won. And they've both won titles, both of those organizations.
Yeah.
James Harden hasn't even been close.
Now,
anybody in free agencies, Charlton, who has gotten these max contracts have not been close to winning an NBA title.
Yeah.
So what does that say? People talking about build a super team. No, everybody right now is talking about building a super contract.
Yeah.
That's what they want.
And you know what, Big C, I don't blame James Harden at all, but I'll tell you the difference between James Harden and Steph Curry. Steph Curry knew he should have been paid more than anybody in the last 2 years. He didn't complain. He wanted the team to win a championship. If you're Harden, now I've never had $228 million. Maybe someday I will, because I keep buying the right lotto tickets, Big C. But I'm just saying, this is sometime you go to the ownership and you say, you know what, just like Durant, I would rather take some of this $228 million and build a team that can win a championship as opposed to having my bank account so full that we get nothing. Because at some point in time, I mean, you're already rich, but that extra $228 million, could that have done a better job to help Houston bring in some players? Let me just say something stupid. Couldn't help them bring in someone like a Carmelo Anthony? Could it help them bring in someone like a Paul George? Could it help them bring someone even like a, I'm not going to say this is going to make any sense, but wouldn't even LeBron James pay attention if you're throwing around that kind of money to help Houston win? Or is it just about one player? It reminds me of Kobe Bryant saying, who cares about the team? It's about me. Big C, that make any sense to you? Yeah.
You can look at basketball. You can look at baseball. Teams that have won the championships, Charlton, over the past couple years. Look at your team out there, the Giants.
Yeah.
There's nobody in the Giants organization who's even probably in the top 100 players in Major League Baseball other than Posey.
Yeah.
Of being paid.
Yeah.
You know, and the pitcher, what's his name? Baumgartner?
Yeah, Madison Baumgartner.
Those are the only two players that they have on their roster that are in the top 100.
But see, they have a championship already, though. See, that's the difference between them and the Harden. They've already won. Multiple times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Three of them out there.
Yeah.
So when we look at the NBA, you know, we look at the Warriors, 2 out of the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Steph Curry, 2-time MVP. Kevin Durant won it 4 years ago. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
None of these players were the highest paid players in the league at the time when they won their championship trophy.
Yeah.
LeBron James wasn't even the highest paid player in the league when he's won his championship in Cleveland or Miami.
But Big C, what do they have that James Harden doesn't have, Big C, by not being selfish?
They have that championship pedigree. I think it's gotten to the point, and I understand that the owners are wealthy and they don't cringe when they write out a check to
Yeah.
players, Charlton.
Yeah.
And never should they. And no one ever blasts the owners for paying these players.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Everyone in the media gets on a player talking about, you know, when's the muscle enough? When the owner decides he doesn't want to pay anymore.
Ain't that the truth?
the money is there for him to have to share.
Show me the money.
NBA players are so smart that they get a revenue sharing in their contract negotiations.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And in that revenue sharing that the NBA players have to get 53% of the money that's made by the league, Charlton.
Yeah.
53% goes to the players, which is a lot of money. Even though the owners are getting 48%, they're not going broke.
No.
There's only one guy receiving the money, or maybe a group of owners, Charlton.
Yeah.
But when you talk about dispersing that amongst 15 players, it's not as much money as those 1 or 2 owners may get in owning a team, Charlton.
And you know how bad Bill Russell must feel when he says he doesn't even have any more fingers to put a ring on, Biggs. He already has 11 championships. He wants, how much is 11 championships worth when it comes to no championships getting you $228 million? But congratulations to him. I know Kareem and the great Wilt Chamberlain and Jordan and Magic and Kobe. They must think how much money did they miss by not being able to play with the Houston Rockets on the big stage. But congratulations, James Harden. Lonzo Ball had a triple-double. They're sellout in the Summer League for Las Vegas, so congratulations for him. I think he can only get better, but he's going to have to lift some weights, Big C. And Big C, as we close out, you know, Venus Williams advancing over in the tennis in Wimbledon, so good job for her. But I got to bring this point up because we just talked about $228 million. In the NBA, there's 41 players with a guaranteed contract. Actually, 18, I believe. In Major League Baseball, there's 41 players guaranteed. NBA, 18 players guaranteed. Big C, why does the most popular sport in the history of the world, NFL football, at least in the United States, no guaranteed contracts? Big C, your thoughts?
It comes down to the players union, okay? These are things that are negotiated by the players union that you can instill guaranteed contracts.
Yeah.
We see the astronomical numbers that are signed by football players. Your buddy Luck, as we spoke about.
Yeah.
144 million, and you'll see players at 100 million. You see players here in the offseason getting $80 million,
Yeah.
$74 million in contracts. And, most of it's tied into the signing bonus because what they're making on a yearly salary
Yeah.
is very minimal, compared to the overall numbers of the contract.
Yeah.
But, to have a league where you negotiate for the players, and when you think about Major League Baseball, Charlton, this is the reason why playing one day in the Major Leagues, you're guaranteed your pension.
Wow.
In no other professional sport do you reach that acclaim by spending one day in the league. In the NFL, you got to spend at least 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
The NBA, you got to spend a few seasons.
That's crazy.
Baseball is always taking care of their players. If you can show that you've been there, even going back, Charlton, finding old-time players, especially even in the Negro League, if they can prove that they played Major League Baseball for at least 3 games,
Yeah.
they qualified for their pension.
Wow.
So a lot of that research has been done to help out those players from the Negro Leagues, Charlton.
Yeah.
And so many of those players passed without being able to receive their pension.
Yeah.
But certain sports have that endeavor about taking care of theirs. And this is why we see players with these astronomical contracts. Give me the money now. I'm not going to worry about it when I retire. I worry about being broke at that point.
Yeah.
And so many of them have been left destitute. We've seen that over the decades.
Yeah.
So many players not having money management skills, Charlton.
Yeah.
I even worry more about that now with the NBA, the way its entry rules are. We're one and done, and they're talking about letting kids come out of high school.
Yeah. Exploitation.
18-year-old, 19-year-olds, Charlton, understand money management of millions of dollars. How do they understand how to say no to everybody that says, I've taken care of you your whole life? Remember when I bought you that popsicle?
Yeah.
When you were 4 years old?
Yeah.
Remember I bought you that high C soda, and you were 7, and it was hot, it was 107 degrees that summer?
Yeah.
Everybody throws everything at these players emotionally. Yet the league does nothing to protect them. I understand that the player's money is his contract, but the league should be obligated, Charlton. Every professional league, when a rookie comes into the league, that of his rookie contract, 50% of it should automatically be put into an endowment, Charlton.
Yeah.
Into a trust. And that trust is not accessible up until 10-year periods after they retire, Charlton. They get a 10-year and they get a 20-year annuity on those trusts, Charlton. So at least they will have some money down the road to get to their pension. Because with the monies that they're giving away now,
Yeah.
on signing bonus, you come in, your first-round draft pick, in the NFL, the first overall pick, your buddy, Myles Garrett.
Yep.
$25 million, Charlton.
Yeah.
Take 10, 12 million of that, put into a trust, Charlton. Let it, just like in the FedEx Cup in golf.
Yeah.
When you win the FedEx Cup, you win $10 million, but you don't get it.
Yeah.
It's put into a trust annuity, Charlton.
That makes a lot of sense.
It matures up to 30 years.
Yeah.
So if they do that with Myles Garrett's contract, that $25 million that he's getting from the Browns, if $12 million is put in that to an annuity trust that will mature 10, 20, and 30 years, Charlton.
Yeah.
He's 50 years old, okay?
Yeah.
He's 50 years old and still has more money at 50 than what he got in his rookie contract.
Well,
That's what professional sports should do for all its players. When you come into the league and you sign that first contract, there was a high school pitcher just signed a contract, Charlton, Major League Baseball.
yeah.
Okay? Got $17 million. $17 million. He's 18 years old.
That's a lot of money, Big C. I'm sure he's gonna love it. Hopefully he'll get some recommendation with that. There's a movie called He Got Game, produced by Spike Lee. They just talked about what happened with the pressures of the guys being drafted. Big C, in the final minute, Big C, what are you looking forward to in the world of the sports universe?
I'm looking forward to the home run derby tonight. I want to see some balls launched out of that beautiful stadium down there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we got all the big bats in Major League Baseball, and this is a night for the fans, Charlie. The true fireworks after the 4th of July are balls being launched out of that Major League Park for that home run derby.
Well, Big C, that's a very good point. We're all looking forward to it. We're also looking forward to every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide. Follow Big C Sports on the iHeartRadio network, the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say there's never, ever any reason for domestic violence. If you know any woman going through that garbage, just call 911, because no one should have to go through that garbage all on their own. As we always tell you on every Big C Sports program, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.